Good afternoon. This is Barbara, the East Coast Dragon Lady, coming to you on Wednesday around about 4 p.m. We're in the middle of a fabulous thunderstorm and lots of rain, which we desperately need here. So I just wanted to come on and quickly share with you that I actually received a QHHT session, which is quantum healing. It's a quantum healing hypnotherapy treatment. That it's my first receiving. It's not my first past life regression. It was fascinating because I have watched this. I've done my level 1 online course, and now I need to practice, and I wanted to get I was thinking 1 or 2 sessions, so I know what it's like before I take people through that process. And it was just literally, it blows your mind is what I'm going to say about what our physical symptoms are linking to past life. So I thought it would be good to come on and actually share that, because as all of you know, if you've been following me, I'm an open book to share this stuff. There was nothing in there that I wouldn't want to share anyway. But it was just really interesting experience, because even though you're in a deep somnamblistic level, I was still aware of some of the things I was saying. And the one thing that really was awesome for me was the practitioner asked Dolores Cannon to come in. She said when she's done students, and she's a student, that sometimes Dolores will come in, and I was able to channel a message from Dolores about what we were doing. She was funny. She was to the point. And she shared some things with us, which was very interesting. I was aware of it, but it wasn't until I listened to it. And you really need to listen to the recording when you get it from a practitioner, because we now know that there are keys and codes within that recording that come in during the session. And it's for me, it was nice to meet somebody that is doing this. She's a level 2, and we talked about lots of things, a lot of metaphysical things. So it's good to have those connections as well. What fascinated me, because I know that I've been told, and the dragons have told me, that in every lifetime I've had, the dragons have been present. But they didn't say how. So I landed in a past life as a young boy, 6 or 7 years old. I was working in the coal mines in Wales. And if any of you know anything about Welsh history, I'm not saying that I know everything, but there's a dragon on the Welsh flag and on most flags in Wales. I talked a lot about being in the mine. I didn't have shoes on. I was dirty. I literally smelt some of the places that I went to. I described the house we lived in, that we were in a valley, we were on a steep hill on cobblestones. It was just blue. And I was watching my mother, who had lost a baby, and that baby had died of whooping cough, and I described that, and then we sort of went forward to another part of my life. I was hungry. I talked about being hungry, and about the sort of food that we ate, and that I was hungry all the time. Obviously I was a growing boy. I was skin and bones, and hungry, and I didn't like working in the mine, but it was what men did, is what I remember me saying, like, that's what men do. Fast forward to another part of that life, and I was older, and I was playing the bagpipes, which was really funny. I was one of 4 people that played back. We were sort of like a May Day celebration. I had now had more food, and I'd stopped working in the mine because there had been a law passed, and I talked about that. Now, I didn't know about that, but I was able to Google it, and confirm that a law was passed that stopped children from working in the mines and made them go to school. And then I went to another part of my life where I was in school. I smelt the wood, I smelt the floors, I smelt the excitement because children were just like, this was amazing. We're going to school. I was with other children, all just in one room. But I was really proud of myself because I could write and my parents couldn't. And I talked about that. And then I went to my death scene, and I was talking about how my mother was there. I had fever. And I was in cold sweats and she was mopping my brow. Now, you don't experience the physical sensations, but you describe it. But I had this sensation of not being able to breathe and coughing and coughing and coughing. And I was coughing up black. And again, when I looked that up, I thought I had diphtheria because I said there was a sickness in the village that I had caught and I'd kept it quiet because I didn't want my mother to worry because she now had a baby. What I actually had was black lung. Now this also connects to when I was born and when I was a young girl. I had, I guess we would have called it asthma, but back then they didn't. They called it bronchitis. I had chronic bronchitis, so I brought some of that into this lifetime, which sort of makes sense. And like that sensation, if you've ever had bronchitis, you cough and you cough and cough until something can come up. So I experienced that, but I think that's just me. And then when we got to connecting me to my higher self or the subconscious, it was just amazing. My aches and pains, I have arthritis. What then we did to help remove some of that, where I mostly held it was in my lower, and none of this was a surprise to me. I said to her that when I was writing out my questions, I'm like, oh, I think I know the answer already to this. But it was just interesting to hear me talk about why I was still holding on to things. I've held on to a lot of anger and things like that, which has caused the arthritis, which is causing me pain. So doing a tethering, I talk a lot about being grounded, and they were saying, she pays lip service to that. We're going to tether her to the earth because she needs to be much more grounded, because my way out is to not be grounded, that disconnects me, right? And I'm really good at disconnecting when things aren't pleasant or I don't want to handle something. I disconnect. So again, made perfect sense. And then, as I said, we brought in actually my mother and my father, and both of them were able to share things with me that they'd never said, things that I needed to hear. My mom, anybody in my family, so my dad passed, he'd been gone, so she was 90s, 50s, 60s, 70s, for like 40 plus years. My mum, like my dad died when he was 60, my mum died at 93. So she'd had a lot more than her marriage without my dad. And she said, I'm looking for my husband. And his response was, under my terms, not under her terms. And that that he can see her, she can't see him, and that he would find her, but it would be on his terms, which again is interesting because before my mom passed, she had she passed very quickly. She literally took to the bed and 24 hours later she had died. But previous to that, she'd had her hair done, had her nails done, which was unheard of. And she was all, as we would say, all spruced up. And I had said, watch it, Dad, she's coming to find you. So it was interesting to hear that. And then just to experience all of this was just, and then to confirm it the next day, I spent probably about half an hour Googling some of this stuff, Googled the flag that I saw, and it was definitely Welsh. I could hear my father, because there was, when I was on my deathbed and dying, I was asked where was my father, and he'd walked into the room. And I kept saying, he doesn't deal with death very well. He doesn't deal with death very well. And he actually said, his last words to me is, you'll be fine, boyo, which to me sounded very Welsh. If you know the Welsh accent, it was probably very thick, but it boyo, and that was all he said. So I've now got full goosebumps. So I find this not just exciting, but know sort of the things that can be done to like bringing our awareness to things is 50% of getting better. And then, of course, we have our choices. But the dragons also had talked about that they had been in my life in so many different ways. And in that particular lifetime, they were there in the flag, in the Welsh flag. So it's not, so when they say, or when I've been told that dragons have been with me in every lifetime, it's been in certain ways, not like they're fully there. The dragons were with me during my past life regression. They came in and talked as well. So it was sort of like, I was still in that level of hypnosis, which, if I'd have laid, it was like 2 hours. And if I had laid there prior to that session, I would have been very stiff and in a lot of pain. And I got out of bed really well. And some of the pain has come back, but I've had a good 48 hours of no pains in my back or hips and all of those things. So I know it's something I have to connect with my higher self. I've already been told that I need to do the work as well. But they put in, not only did they tether me to the earth, but they put in a tube which is draining out these areas of where I'm holding my anger, which is my hips, it's all lower body, my lower spine. I can also feel it coming from my shoulders and my neck. It sort of comes down, connects to my spine, and then we're giving it back and transmuting it to Mother Earth. So it was a beautiful experience. So as I've said, I will be starting practicing because I will be an intern. I have to do 25 sessions. I will probably sign up for level 2 at some point. Because now you don't have to get all of them done before you can sign up for level 2. But I'm really anxious to start doing this work because I think if all you get is a past life regression and you understand something about yourself and maybe heal some stuff or get some clarity around what's happening to your body, and somebody comes through, I mean, you can come with these questions to your session. Which is sort of what is expected, that you will bring a list of questions which can be about your health, about any of that. For me, it was just fabulous that I was able to channel Dolores Cannon. Tonight, I'm meeting with my group that I meet with, and I'm actually bringing in the Galactics tonight for a healing. But they've also said that the first part of the session, I can answer questions from the Galactics. So this will be a new experience for me. And again, I'm excited about that because they've said that whatever questions the group has, they will try and answer them. So I'll see how that goes. But we used to, when the person that used to run the group, we used to, once a month, we would invite the Galactics to come in, and they would do a healing on the group. So that's what I'm going to facilitate tonight. But I did want to come on just to share that, especially if anybody's curious about what I'm talking about when I'm always talking about QHHT. It really is a quantum healing, and it is a hypnosis, past life regression. It's very what you get out of it is it's very relaxing, and you wake up and you've got a recording, and your choice whether you listen to it. But that's where more things can start happening. So after the session, you can continue to heal. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So it looks like we had an hour of a storm, and now I'm just looking out the window and it looks like the sun's come out again. So very interesting weather. It's got cooler. I saw that some parts of the south, or sort of the Carolinas, it's going to get really chilly. I'm actually off for a long weekend and a few extra days tacked on. And as much as I'm happy it's cooler, I don't want it to be that cold. I want to be able to do some things. But anyway, interesting. So that's what I have for now. If I might follow up tomorrow with whatever I get today, to share with the rest of you, because the Galactics are always about sharing this information unless they tell me not. But as I say, I'm looking forward to that in about another couple of hours. So I hope you're having a good week. The weather's certainly been all over the place. I know for some kids, school has already started. For others, it's not till after the 1st. But whatever, enjoy the last few days of the summer vacation. And I'll be back either tomorrow or certainly over the weekend. I have plenty to share. Take care.